Today we're talking all things building, the good, the bad, and the ugly of building a house. Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Vivienne Mojapelo.
You did that, yeah, you crossed the line about 1,000 times and I did that. Yeah, I stayed a while, tried to make it right. A cigarette, no, I never smoked, but my heart is broke, explosive.
Today we're talking all things building, the good, the bad, and the ugly of building a house. Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Vivienne Mojapelo, and if you haven't been here before, welcome, and thank you for joining us today. If you have been here before and you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe, but don't forget it is free. So yeah, it will not cost you a dime. And those of you who have subscribed, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. And yeah, let us do this. Let me drop some gems. I think I will do this video in the form of like the journey of building and the experiences that we had when basically carrying forward this project. I don't know, maybe in another sit down video I would then give estimates in terms of prices of building a house, and yeah, all the other nice juicy stuff around building a house. Let us get into then this current video. And I was contemplating, do I start with the good or the bad? And I thought maybe let me start with the good so that the people ease into it and feel comfortable actually, building a house. And then we'll deal with the bad and the ugly afterwards. And those would be the things that you would need to be looking out for. The things that were stressful on my end as well. This kink is one way, but it's fine. The things that were stressful on our end and. So yeah, with the good things. The first thing, and you would have heard it many times, and this is not going to be the first time you hear it here. Building a house awards you a opportunity to get the house that you want, and you become part of the design process. So you're able to design it in such a way that it aligns with your living arrangement or the type of lifestyle that you have. So that is one definite positive around building a house. And I love the fact that in terms of sitting in that process, when you're done discussing all that stuff, you're able to go back, sleep on it, and come back the next day and be like, but I've thought about this. I don't necessarily like this. I'd like to change a thing or two. I'm actually looking that way because the cars that are passing by our complex making so much noise. I hope it doesn't come through here, but if it does, I apologize. So yeah, like I was saying, you can sleep on it and the next day be like, oh, all right, no, we can change that, thinking about your lifestyle and your living arrangement. That is one of the first things that's a definite positive. The other positive part about building a house is the fact that you actually have like learning experience that you can apply maybe in future projects eventually. And I believe that this knowledge is priceless, and the fact that you have then practical experience, you don't have to hear people tell you that and that about building. That is definitely a priceless learning experience. So if you are going to build, I wouldn't suggest that you step back and say the builders will take care of it. Be involved every step of the way, well, in as far as you practically can, because I will talk about the bad things that could happen if you don't actually become part of the process. The next other thing about building that you get to experience is the fact that you are more involved in the quality or how the house turns out. So basically the quality of the structure of the house. I'm just going to give an example. We once heard a story before we actually built, that there was a team of professional people or of a company that was building houses at a certain estate. And um, when they were doing the foundation, they did shortcuts. So they assumed that the area was a rocky area. So they're not going to do the whole reinforcement metals in the foundation. And yeah, so they didn't install that. So firstly, that's the first fail. And when the people had already moved in, the house started cracking and moving and so now fortunately this house was bank financed, so they were able to go back to the builder and put liability on the builder. But then in terms of the inconvenience caused, because now this house has to be broken down and rebuilt because the foundation of it is not right, the person is inconvenienced. They must go back and either go rent or something in order for them, to continue their lives. So yeah, that is why I say it's quite important for you to be involved at the beginning. Ask questions, understand what is happening. So the good thing about this building process is you're able to come, ask questions, understand what they're putting into your house. It's very, very important. The other good thing about building the house is, with plugs, I know this is like a minimal thing, consideration. With plugs, you're able to know exactly where you want your plugs to be. Because, I've been in like apartments or houses that were already built, lived in them, and now when you do certain things, you're like, if only this thing was here. But the building process does allow for you to do that. The other thing is more of a financial consideration. Depending on the process that you use to fund the house, let me talk about the different options that are available in terms of finding a house. I won't break it down too deep. I'm just going to give you the different functions. If you want to research on it, then you can research on it. And then if you want me to explain how they work, then I can do that for you guys in a separate video. So the first option is the self-funded option, where you pay for everything cash. That is the first option, and not many people are able to reach that option. The next option is when you fund it through the bank, and through the bank, you are able to either do a building bond where you are literally the builder, or you can do a purchasing a building package. They are different in terms of how the payout structures work, and I can explain that in a different video if you are interested in that information, because it will definitely affect your cash flow depending on the option that you use, whether it can affect your cash flow either positively or negatively. So you need to be wise in the option that you decide to go with. And after you've gone with that option, you should know with the builder how you basically going to also have oversight of the project. Yes. So the point I was trying to explain around financing the house, you have the flexibility of choosing how you finance the house, and based on how you finance the house. So I'm going to talk about, let's say, a cash funded transaction. Based on that, and based maybe on the area you're building in, and the ambits around how long you need to take to build, right? There is then that flexibility, and if you're planning on building cash, it gives you that ability to actually build cash if you're going to extend this project for a long period of time. What I mean by that is if you can then build and then pause and not incur any costs in that pausing, or incur minimal costs in that pausing and come back and finish, or it will allow for you to, go through the project like that if you haven't saved the entire amount up front. I know a lot of people can't reach that, but then I wouldn't advise that you do the coming, pausing, because there are other consequences that do come with that option, right? And then now, those are the good parts that I definitely wanted to highlight. Let's get into the ugly, guys. The honest truth is, if you are building, other days you just want to cry. And I'm going to explain why. The people, if you're coming from a professional environment, if you are a deep professional, coming from corporate, coming from like a highly professional environment, the people that you deal with in construction can be a true headache. A true headache. In terms of professionalism, in terms of communication, like a lot can go wrong there. But I'm not just going to give you the bad, I'm just going to also give you how you can manage some of that situation. With the unprofessional situation, you definitely either need to employ a project manager on your project to help you deal with these guys, or you need to be a very firm person. And I had already touched on the point of being present on site very regularly, so that you're able to pick up on any problems that could arise before the project actually continues. That's if you don't have a project manager. The next other point, guys, this one is important. Like, I cannot stress the importance of this enough. A contract. Guys, a contract is so important. I'm just going to talk about also one of like the experiences we had where, I think my phone is ringing somewhere. Oh, it sounds like it's just a message. Let me just quickly take this call and then I'll be with you now. Forza. Oh, me right. Oh, all right. I'll wait. I'm lovely phone. Okay. So, Moses, tinsimbile tabati yimisi. Tinsimbile tabati yimisi. Abate landang mus. Oh, all right. I'm lovely. Okay. Abanget landa ka kono contractor site. Oh, awayita ngifonela naye. Sakur bangeti kuze abate batata between 9 and 10. So sakur bangeti. Anhle dukuntaya la office na tirela office ya le estate. Mara yeah, el na ko ete sa meeting tingwana and then ngota ke office le. Awa. Mara namuntlha kuna ko aka loko va nga ta kota ku endla, because angirma barinstein Pacific. So fanekele va deliver stay and then kona va nga ta va kona mundoko lava vo aka. Mara tlable. Sharp. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, it was my brother. He had gone on site to go pick up some stuff for us. And yeah, I was talking about contracts, guys. It is so important to have a contract. And I was explaining the situation where we didn't have a contract. So we brought in a subcontractor to come assist us with this slab. We did a verbal contract, and then we agreed on a price to say this is the price that is it's going to cost us for the slab. And then we were like, so based on the price that we've agreed on, there are not going to be any additional costs and any surprise costs, right? And he was like, yes. Guys, if we had written that down in a contract, we would have been saved. Now, when it's time to invoice, that these additional things that he's adding into his invoice, and now we have to sit and discuss. But you said that. So it's a thing of you said this, I said that, and it's your word against mine. And most times you don't even win, because a lot of these people in construction, I don't know, like when it's time to talk about these things, they behave like they've got amnesia and you guys have just never spoken about it before. Like, yeah. So that was one annoying thing that happened, in one of the experiences we had. So guys, don't overlook a contract, regardless of how big or how small the job is on the site. Whether this person is a painter, whether this person is electrician. I'm also going to describe a situation we had like with an electrician. So they were issuing invoices and there were no milestones in terms of what the invoice is for, And I went back to them and said, no, guys, like you can't just be invoicing us randomly. Give us because we agreed on a total cost, Give us a full breakdown of what your milestones are. So for instance, we're first going to pipe the ground floor, pipe the top floor. The piping for the ground floor is going to cost us this much. The piping for the top floor is going to cost us this much. The wiring for the ground floor, the wiring for the top floor is going to cost us this much. Or we're going to invoice you this much. The installation of the database, for instance, is going to cost you this much. The installation of the gas pipes is going to cost you this much. The installation of the lights and the plugs is going to cost you this much. And the testing is going to cost you this much. And the certificate of compliance is going to cost you this much. Because if you don't do that type of breakdown, literally in as much detail as you possibly can, you're going to be in a situation where they have given you the total cost of what things are going to cost. And that's what they like doing in construction. They'll give you a total cost and you will not have a breakdown and they just bill randomly. The danger is that they will bill you and if you're not keeping a spreadsheet like some of us do, they end up billing you and they capacitate their total, and then now you're going to have problems where they're either not coming back, they've got excuses because they know once they've worked you're not going to pay them, and so you have to pay more like every time you need to call them in, or when you're going to need to replace them with another contractor to complete the work. I mean, that hasn't happened to us, but that is something that we let's forget about the English. But that is something that we saw beforehand, before it actually happened to us, where we're like, no, guys, we can't be doing random invoices. So with every activity on your project, you need to be like that. Give me a breakdown of what this cost relates to. If it's going to be plumbing, this is plumbing. We're going to install the pipes in the foundation. We're going to install the pipes in the slab on the first floor. We're going to install the pipes on the slab of the roof. Then we're going to run the pipes underground. Then we're going to install the sanitation. Then we're going to give me that breakdown. So do focus on that stuff. Otherwise, guys, you are going to go totally over budget. And the ultimate aim is that you keep within budget as much as possible. The other negative or the ugly is the fact that material prices do fluctuate. So if you didn't get like a building package where they already charged you a fee and the bank is already approved and the contractor can't do anything about that, and you buy your own material, the material costs could fluctuate quite a bit. So it makes the budgeting process a little bit more difficult to manage because unfortunately the fluctuates upwards and not downwards. So the prices are going up instead of going down, guys. So if you did your budget like 8 months ago, and then you're gonna need to pour concrete on your concrete slab like 6 months later or 4 months later, the price might just be significantly different and significantly higher, and the slab is going to definitely cost you significantly more when you are then pouring that concrete. And the quotation that you have now, it expires. They generally have the terms and conditions on the quotation, and generally it expires within 7 days of them issuing you that quotation. So if you're going to wait very long to get certain things, you will definitely pay a little bit higher on that material. The other thing, the emotional stress of managing a project when the team is not performing optimally. That emotional stress, I won't lie, guys, there are days where I have sleepless nights, like where I'd be thinking, what a screw up, what a mess up, even though it's not that much of a screw up, because the other problem with me is that I am a perfectionist. So if things are not perfect, then I just automatically feel like it's a screw up. But the emotional stress that you will carry when things are not exactly how maybe the design needs to be, it's quite heavy. And if you're gonna build together with your partner, whatever the case may be, just make sure that your relationship, guys, is quite solid, because when money is coming out, and it's coming out like a river flowing, sure, yeah, there are other days where you'll just look at each other like, okay, what now? Where you're just not pleased with each other, where it's just dead silence, so that part of it, let us not even lie about it. Make sure that your guys' relationship is very solid to be able to deal with the emotional pressure and stresses that come with building. The other thing is timelines. Timelines are not always going to be what the builder says it is going to be, or what the guys that are employed to do the work say it's going to be. Most times it takes a longer. So do budget for an extended period of time. If you're going to be renting somewhere in the meantime, do budget for that additional rental period, because in construction, most times things don't happen on time, and there are other nuances that could happen in the project as well. Like for instance, the one project that we worked on, when we started digging the foundation, we found boulders underground, and we couldn't dig with a normal TLB. We had to get in an excavator, and to carry out those boulders, we also had to get a dump truck, the one they use in the mine, that big one. So that was a much unanticipated cost, and a big one when the foundation wasn't supposed to cost that much. So you can see now the emotional stress that you can start experiencing when those type of things happen, and now you have to pop out a lot more money than you would have budgeted for. So budget for a little extra. Budget for staying wherever you are a little bit extra. I'm not saying don't have faith that the project will finish on time. The project will finish, but then also you don't want to compromise on the quality of the project, and you don't want to compromise on the materials and the strength of this building, because you want to move in earlier, or you even compromising the design, which brings me to the next other point. So when you building a house, there is the architectural process that you will go through, and then there is builders that actually execute the work, and then there is an engineer that needs to, give specification on what the building needs to, be built like, so that the strength of the building is proper and this house is not falling on y'all. So in the whole process, based on our experience, sometimes the architectural and the engineering don't, they don't come together, and you have to make alternative plans or some other way to make this thing work, so that is one of the other things that you just need to think about, where there could be alterations to the architectural plan, because the architectural plan is not accommodating the structural engineering of the whole thing. I hope that made sense. Because with every project, I would recommend that you always have an engineer, and an engineer that is qualified enough to do the job, and an engineer that has the designation to sign off, because you would need to hold somebody accountable when things do go wrong. And when you are building a house, for instance, when you're done with the foundation, when you're done with the slab, when you're done with the roof, and your engineer has designed those things for you, do get a compliance certificate to basically say the engineer is comfortable with his design. He's checked off the design to make sure that it's in line with their specification, and he's happy to sign off on the integrity of that structure, so that if it falls on you one day, there is somebody to hold accountable. So do get that certificate. Don't forget. And this basically does speak to the point of things going wrong where structurally the building could fail and be a danger to the people that are going to live inside it. And then another thing, people that are building and have employed everybody to come execute the activities, don't sit passively and not understand the designs, because you're going to get something that, especially the engineer's designs, you're going to get something that is not the same as the architectural plan that was put in place for you. I'm going to give an example of something that happened in the experiences I've had. There was a cantilever beam in the front of a garage. So what a cantilever beam is basically a floating beam, like a beam that just is not balancing on anything. It's not attached to the wall. It's just this cantilever long beam, right? And when the engineer gave the bending schedule or the architectural plan, he had not picked up that beam is not attached to the wall. He thought it was a flat slab. And those are the things that could commonly go wrong, right? He thought it's going from. So when he did the bending schedule, the metals that he designed for that area was for a flat long slab instead of a cantilever beam, right? And if we were not able to read the engineer's designs and see what is basically specified there, we would have had to either alter the house, or they would, if we were not on site, they would have built. The builder or the guys working would have built and would have come there and been like, this is not what this thing is supposed to look like. And then we have obviously a big problem where we have to break the house and rebuild it the right way, or just live with a mistake. And I mean, one thing about me, with anything, I don't want to live with the mistakes and accept them, because in a way, bro, that we sat and designed something and sweated through it to make it look aesthetically pleasing, just for somebody to just go against that design. So I need my stuff to be perfect. And if you're a perfectionist like me, then it becomes that critical for you guys to be part of the project and read those designs, because they could go terribly wrong. You don't need to know how to read absolutely everything, but just have the basics, to understand when he's giving you pictures of beams, where are these beams resting. Sorry about that, it cut me off because it's reached full recording length. But yeah, where are those beams supposed to be? Where are or what type of metal is designed for that? And I mean, for us, how we were able to pick up that beam that whatever I had specified for that beam is wrong, is because when we looked at the shape codes of certain metals, we were able to tell that this is not a square. The shape code and the size of some of the metal, this is not maybe the square that is meant to go and float there in terms of the stirrups. So we're able to see it from the stirrups. And if you can't pick up on those type of things, you're going to have a wrong plan. Or they're going to have to change the engineering plans, or the engineering plans once you've already purchased the material. So now you have wastage, which obviously costs you, because that metal is not easy to just dispose of somewhere else, because remember, it's cut based on specification and based on your specific house plan. So you're going to have to find a way to repurpose it into the project, if there is a way to actually repurpose it. And you don't want that. You'd rather have the correct metal already from the beginning. So guys, I think for now I've given you quite a lot to think about. Actually, let me give you one last one. And this one is important, critical, because you don't want to have to break down your house after you've already built it. So with this particular one, it links to a point I've already mentioned earlier in the video. Make sure that every step of the process is followed, because if not every step of the process is followed, you're going to end up in a situation where the house is already built and now you have to break it down. And now imagine if you built cash, there was no bank to back you. Now you have to fight by yourself. You don't even have a bank to help you fight to recover that money. There's actually a house in that estate where the building has been paused for a very long time, and that's because the builder and the owner are fighting in court, and nothing can literally happen with that project. I suppose until the case is finalized, I don't know what's going to happen there, but literally people are trying to recover money from other people because things didn't go right. Do you understand the mess that this thing can actually create? It's like a bad mess. So you need to basically know every step. Do young research and understand that at this point they need to put the metals. After they've put the metals, okay, am I doing a floating? Am I doing a normal strip foundation, or am I doing now the words have escaped me, the one where literally there's a lot of water under the ground? So there are different types of foundations. That's the point. And if I'm doing this type of foundation, what are the steps that need to be followed for this foundation to be fine, so that you can go and inspect or have a look at these things? Because once the floor has been casted, you can't necessarily see what's happening under. And even the people that inspect, they won't see what's happening under. So when your house starts failing, it is going to be on you and the builder fighting, or even the engineer. So yeah, guys, it is quite important to have a look at that type of stuff because it could go very, very ugly. And the worst, obviously, is having to break down a full standing house, guys. You don't want to be in that position. You literally don't want to be in that position because, firstly, all that money you spent on building is lost. Secondly, you need to spend more money on finding a place to stay in the meantime if you are going to rebuild that house. And most times, if you don't have another house to as backup to go stay at, that would mean that you would have to rent, and that is an additional cost. Your landlord is not your friend. If the rent is this price, the rent is this price, and there is nothing you can do about it, which is sad. So I hope this video does give you some insight into building. There are definitely beautiful things about building, and I love it. I won't lie, I love it. And there are the ugly and the bad, and the construction industry is mostly shrewd, and you need to have a backbone to actually do construction. But what would solve a lot of your problems is a project manager that can fight back for you. But also that is an additional cost that you introduce into the project to pay a project manager. I hope this video did help you guys. I hope I will see a lot of you guys building. I've got suggestions of videos that I'd like to talk about with regards to building. Firstly, the financing options. If you're interested in that, do comment in the comment section, say finance. Or maybe I should do Instagram polls to say, all right, these are the different topics that I plan to deal with on my YouTube channel. Which one are you now, at the present moment, more interested in? So the financing options is one of them. The second one is the different suppliers of different materials. It is not going to be paid or sponsored. It is just free advertising for these guys. And I hope they see it and eventually do something about it. That's the one other thing. The other suggestion or the other idea I had around the construction industry is in terms of the little components around construction. So basically breaking down the construction process for the little components, like from the foundation phase. What is it that you need to look out? Then they start bringing up the walls. Then they start putting in the windows. Then they start putting in beams for the slab. Then they start. So I want, that is another idea to basically give you a breakdown per stage as to what you are needing to look out for. If you're interested in that, also, like, leave your comments, guys. Leave your comments. I'd be pleased to share that information with you. And I mean, if you would like for us to come through and manage your project for you, you can definitely reach out to us to assist you in that process. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on my Instagram so that when I do put out these polls, you're able to vote and because I think I'll be a little bit more active on Instagram in terms of this process. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, leave a click that notification bell so that you are notified every time I post a new video. And I love you till the next video. Bye.
So romantic, we were picture perfect, so much freaking passion.